After World War II, the United States and the USSR became competing world powers. This gave way to the beginning of the Cold War. During the 1960s and 70s, at the height of the Cold War, Jamaica was immersed in political warfare. The two political rivals were Michael Manley from the People's National Party and Edward Seaga from the Jamaican Labour Party. Claudius Massop, who was born on the 16th of April 1949, West Kingston, Jamaica, Denham Town, was an enforcer, hitman for Edward Seaga of the Jamaican Labour Party. He was a feared gunman who led the Phoenix Gang, later to be renamed as the notorious Shower Posse. The Shower Posse gained notoriety in the late 1970s for their involvement in drug trafficking, murder and extortion. Massop was believed to have been the mastermind behind many of the gang's criminal activities. He was well known to the authorities and had been arrested several times and charged for murder and armed robbery, perjury and shooting with intent, but no charges ever produced a conviction. Kingston was a city under siege, as fanatical supporters of the governing People's National Party, PNP, and the opposition Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, battled for control in the capital's garrison communities. Supporters of Prime Minister Michael Manley's socialist policies saw him as a third world hero in the mold of Cuban President Fidel Castro. His detractors, led by the conservative opposition leader Edward Seaga, considered Manley a danger to democracy in the Caribbean. Massop commanded respect from the Tivoli Gardens community that remained fiercely loyal to Edward Seaga and the JLP. Massop was accused by the authorities of being the head of an underworld organization that controlled drugs and guns inside and outside the Tivoli Gardens and Denham Town area, along with managing an exorbitant extortion scheme, whereby vendors, merchants and traders in particular would have to pay them fees to do business in the area. Tivoli Gardens was developed in West Kingston, between 1963 and 1965 by demolishing and redeveloping the area of the Rastafarian settlement, which was named Bacco Wall. A community given that name because it was populated by the undesirables, the outcast of society, i.e. Rastafarians, criminals, and the poor. Prior to Edward Seaga's years of dominating the constituency of West Kingston, which included Denham Town and Tivoli Gardens, no elected official, or political party, was ever consecutively re-elected, until 1963-65 when the construction of Tivoli Gardens was developed, and provided the JLP with a majority of the votes in the constituency. It was during the 1967 election, relationships with politicians and gang members were established. Seaga established a social order in West Kingston, which was a stronghold of the JLP and controlled by Claudius Massop, who was the don of the Shower Posse. As fighting between Manley and Seaga backers escalated in 1977, enforcers from both factions reached out to Bob Marley, who agreed to headline a peace concert at the National Stadium in Kingston. A truce was called in 1978, when Claudius Massop and Bucky Marshall, of Matthews Lane, put down their guns. The One Love Peace concert, held on April 22, 1978, was supposed to bring stability to a country torn apart along political and ideological lines. Manley and Seaga were brought together on stage by Bob Marley, which was a symbolic moment in Jamaican history. The truce movement started to spread throughout Kingston and St. Andrew. Peace dances were kept all over the corporate area to commemorate the peace. The political violence was contained, but it also led to a rise in organized crime. Within 1 year of the truce, Claudius Massop was dead. He was shot and killed by police along Industrial Terrace in Kingston on February 4, 1979. He was only 30. A group of heavily armed policemen on Marcus Garvey Drive, Industrial Terrace intersection, close to Tivoli Gardens, opened fire as he returned from one of his regular visits to the horse racing track at Caymanas Park, in St. Catherine. Also shot dead in that incident were Massop's friends, Trevor, Hindu, Tinson, who lived in Canada, and racehorse trainer Lloyd, Nolan, Fraser, 21. Police said that they signaled the vehicle in which the men were traveling to stop, and Massop jumped out, and fired 2 shots. The police said that when they fired back, Massop and his friends were killed. 2 other men who were traveling in the vehicle escaped, police said. However, eyewitness accounts said that Massop jumped out of the car with his hands in the air, and was shot over 40 times. Not long after the peace concert in April 1978, the shaky peace movement fell apart, and the election of 1980 was the bloodiest in Jamaica's history. The don of Tivoli Gardens, Claudius Massop, was dead, and was succeeded by Lester Lloyd Coke, alias Jim Brown.